Hello and welcome to our very first episode of Cricket Talk with Cricketers. And I have with me my two guests, Deep Dasgupta, Pragyan Ojha, cricketers of repute, amazing commentators, sharp analysts. And it's been a while since the IPL the 2020 edition of the Indian Premier League was over. Mumbai Indians won again. A record fifth time, a record extending fifth title. But gentlemen, Deep, Pragyan, the IPL hangover still lingers. We've been so accustomed to wrapping our lives around the IPL every day for the last 2 months. But there's a bit of a hangover. And because there's such a strong hangover, we decided to revisit the IPL, revisit certain facets of the IPL. And why not? It's been such an incredible tournament, given the conditions around the world, the pandemic, and the matches, all these 60 matches brought such smiles to our faces. We thought we should revisit certain facets. And who better than Pragyan Ojha and Deep Dasgupta to delve right back into this edition and look at some of the high points and some of the glory moments. And we thought we'll just ask our two experts to start off with probably, the best 11 that they've figured out from the Indian Premier League. And they've been working on it as usual. They do a lot of research. They know a lot about the game, but they always come on this show with a lot of research and with a lot of groundbreaking backwork. So, Pragyan, should we start with you, looking at your best 11 of the IPL 2020?
First of all, I'd like to say, this hangover is not new. It's been 13-year-old. Every time the IPL gets over, even the players, they don't know. They are so used to a certain time. They sleep late, they get up late, then it takes at least 10-15 days to get back to the normal schedule. So that's what IPL is. And the way it was conducted, it was tremendous. The way, BCCI and all the working committees and everybody they were handling IPL was superb. Saying that, this was a special year, I'd like to congratulate Mumbai Indians. The way they played their cricket and the way even Delhi Capitals played, it was end of the day, it was great for Indian cricket. That's the reason why IPL is always been watched widely. Saying that, I'll come to my best 11. It's very difficult, it's always tricky. And at times you feel, when you look at these 8 teams, it's like sometimes you feel 11, I think it will not do justice. So but it's something that we need to follow and we need to say what we feel the best is. So for me, Rohit Sharma is the captain without a doubt. Then KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul will open. Then Ishan Kishan, Surya Kumar Yadav, ABD. I'll go with Ben Stokes, Akshar Patel, R. Ashwin, Jofra Archer, Trent Bolt, and Bumrah.
Power pack lineup that Deep Dasgupta. That is a great start from Pragyan Ojha. But before we come to your best 11, Deep, Pragyan made a very important reference to the fact that for players, this is a 13-year-old hangover, and this will continue. For players, fans, media personnel like us. But this IPL, special memories for you, special moments, because the way it was conducted, and there was a glimmer of hope only after the BCCI insisted that we should have this tournament. But special nostalgia because this was an emotional moment. This entire tournament.
It was Rajshri and Pragyan, because for 2 months you're in that bubble, and for 2 months you're in it, good, bad or ugly, you're in it together, and you forge bonds with people there, and then these 2 months are not going to come back. Chances are, and hopefully not so, that we'll ever have another IPL in the same circumstances. So yeah, it was very special, the way it was organized. I'm still feeling nostalgic. I still feel like, I have to go down for my lunch and dinner, because we had this huge hall where we had our food, wasn't in the room. So I feel like, it's about time, let's go have dinner or let's go have lunch now and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be a while. It'll take a while to get over it. And as you mentioned, the right word would be hangover. And I'm not complaining about this hangover for sure.
And then to your 11. Yeah.
Yeah. So my playing 11. I don't know. I found it a little difficult because, I'm just gonna say it anyway. So my playing 11 would be KL Rahul, Mayank Agarwal, Surya Kumar Yadav, AB de Villiers, Butler, Hardik Pandya, and then my batting is a little thin, but hopefully these guys will come through. Then I have Jofra, Rashid, Yuzi, Rabada, Bumrah, 5 out-and-out bowlers. And 5 bowlers, 6 batsmen, which is a very straightforward combination. But I mean, these guys have been brilliant. I don't have Virat or Rohit because I think there were better performers this season, people who had more impact on games. So, yeah, that's my playing 11.
Who's your captain? You're going with KL Rahul as your captain.
KL Rahul. I think I'm going to go with KL Rahul. I don't think I agree with all the calls that he took, but I thought overall I kind of liked it. So KL Rahul for me would lead that side.
But Deepta, if you just look at Pragyan's 11, he had Rohit Sharma as captain. Wasn't the best year for him with the bat initially before he stepped out with his injury. Comes back, a couple of bad outings, but that man, he knows how to play the big games. He knows how to play the big games. And is there that impetus that, if you look at cricket around the world, and Pragyan, like you, is given the thought around him. But if you just look at the Rohit Sharma factor, that is he arguably the best T20 captain in the world right now. If you look at the shorter formats, the way that he's handled Mumbai Indians, is the case for that?
If you ask me, I'd say this, that he's been brilliant as a leader, as a captain in T20, even in one day. If you look at his record as India captain, whatever little he has done, stepping in place of Virat when he wasn't available, I think he's done a fabulous job. So his captaincy pedigree record is superb. Having said that, captaincy might not be just about numbers. That's where I think, for example, Virat. Yes, I mean, if you're going to lead a side for 5 years, there'll be ups and downs. There'll be good series, there'll be good days, there'll be bad days, because you're long enough being there as a captain. And I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult to say whether he's the best T20 captain or not. But if you go just by sheer numbers, the fact that he's got 4 IPLs as a captain, I think that's phenomenal, and it's going to be difficult to break that.
Pragyan, four IPLs and one Champions League.
Yeah.
But I noticed that, and we were just discussing a couple of factors, but I noticed that none of you had David Warner, because he was among the runs and he was astute as a captain, as a leader, and leading, if you may say, a wafer thin bowling attack in terms of experience, because they lost Bhuvneshwar pretty early. Pragyan, was there, obviously both of you gentlemen give a lot of thought to your team, but did that name David Warner ever rankle in your brain?
For me, it was clearly not David Warner, because as a captain, I was very sure it's Rohit Sharma, because, for the obvious reasons, he's one of the most successful captain in IPL in this tournament. And then I was very clear about the openers and who's going to bat number 3. Openers are Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul. I strongly feel they are the best. And Ishan Kishan, who's been like superb this year. So I'm not missing David Warner. You always see if you are missing that player after you write down your 11, you see if you're missing any player. In this, I was not missing anybody. Only bowler I was missing was Rashid. But then I have Ben Stokes, and then I have Trent Bolt, because ABD I cannot miss out. The way he bats, when he comes in the middle overs and gets those runs for you. So I think I balanced it with Akshar Patel and R Ashwin. Akshar can be economical, and Ashwin, this year he's been phenomenal picking those important wickets. And I've got my fast bowlers there. So I'll mix and match.
A bit common question to the both of you before we move on to another interesting facet that we've been discussing for the IPL. But Pragyan, if you can take this first, when you're making this, I'm sure I don't know, maybe you've done these exercises in the past. We all do. We are journalists, you're cricketers, we think about the game. But have you ever thought in all these years of the IPL that you're making a list of the best playing 11 and you do not have a Kohli, you do not have an MS Dhoni, and rightly so. I mean, they've not quite, Virat's strike rate has been a question, MS Dhoni's form, his captaincy towards the first, let's say, 10, 11 matches before they bounce back to win a couple of games. Did it ever occur to you that there will be a time when Virat Kohli is not there in a best playing 11.
Yes. It's very difficult. I told you, as a cricketer, when you think about Virat Kohli, MS Dhoni, so these are the names, you would never want to miss out. But as I said, see, if you go, there are certain things you have to see in your 11 if they're fitting, and the other one is Virat Kohli. As a captain, I would like Rohit Sharma as a captain. That's a personal choice. I'm not comparing both.
Sure.
I'm not comparing both. It's just that I've played under Rohit Sharma as a bowler. I feel I had that little bit of cushion with him. I've never played under Virat, and if you see the success rate, then Rohit is much higher than Virat. So I felt Rohit as a leader would be there. And about MSD, I think it's the age factor. When you talk about this team, you will see I have players who can give you at least 5 to 6 years of good cricket. That's the reason I've built this.
Okay, Rashi, I honestly did not think that I'm gonna make a playing 11 without Rohit, Virat, and MSD. I'll be honest, I didn't think so. But again, this is not about what people are capable of or what they've done in the past. We're just looking at this. I just looked at this year's performance. Virat again had a 450 plus, which is by no stretch of imagination a bad year. But having said that, I mean, listen, again, about the Warner thing. You're also looking at where you can fit in. Where is your Indian strength? Because we again went with 4 overseas. So you want to put in overseas where you don't have a replacement as such, and you're trying to pick as many match winners as possible. And if you look at the Indian setup, and it's nothing new. India never struggled with their top order. India has always had great top order in limited overs cricket. It's just the middle order. So that's the reason I could replace a Warner with a KL Rahul or a Mayank. But in the middle order, when I look at the options, the Indian options, then you say, you know what, obviously I'm going to have ABD or a Butler, or even Ben Stokes for that matter. But that's how my thought process was, exclusively based on IPL 2020, nothing more, nothing less.
It's a very interesting playing 11. Obviously, both Pragyan and Deep have chosen. And the interesting fact is, if you look back at the playing 11, obviously, the fact is that they've not just gone by cold numbers. If they had just gone by cold numbers, and that is where their expertise comes into play, Pragyan wouldn't have had Rohit Sharma because he was obviously not one of the leading run scorers. So he has Rohit Sharma as his captain because of his astute leadership, the fact that he's won 4 IPL titles, 1 Champions League title. Same with Deep, he wouldn't have had KL Rahul as his captain if he'd just gone with numbers, because Kings 11 Punjab obviously did phenomenally well to stay in contention, but they did not quite make the cut at the end. But it was splendid leadership and team management. But we will request our viewers to look up at these playing 11s. Please put in your thoughts. Why don't you also communicate with both Deep Dasgupta and Pragyan Oja on their Twitter handles, on our Twitter handle, and just tell us what you think. These guys have played the game for years, right? They've played right from scratch to the absolute top, and they understand the game better than a lot of us. So why don't you also pitch in with your views and share your views with both our experts? Having said that, moving on to the next segment, Pragya, Mumbai Indians, phenomenal. 2013, 15, 17, 2019, 2020, becoming only the second team of the Chennai Super Kings to defend the IPL, 5-time IPL champions. We've spoken about the fact that they are probably the greatest T20 team, the greatest T20 franchise team on the planet. Is there anybody in the Indian Premier League who can, sort of transcend that and beat Mumbai Indians and establish a dominance? Not just beating them for one season or thereabout, but actually dominating Mumbai Indians in the near future. You see that happening from any of the teams that you see? Any sparks?
Right now, maybe if they have a mega auction, we don't know. Dynamics may change because, auctions are very important, especially when you have a great side. We are hearing there are a lot of things like, retaining only 3 players, and then you can use like maybe 1 or 2 wild cards. When you have a setup and suddenly you have to change it, then it takes a lot to again rebuild your team. Unless that happens, I think MI is one of the best sides, and we can see the results. But if I was given a chance to pick a side which can beat MI, that 11 would be KL Rahul, Chris Gale, AT Raidu, Shreyas Iyer, Ben Stokes, Jason Holder, Ravindra Jadeja, Jofra Archer, R. Ashwin, Natarajan, and Varun Chakravarti.
Wow. Okay. That sounds like quite a combination. When you're taking on Mumbai Indians and it's like best of the rest of the world. Is Deep audio?
I think he's stuck.
I think we've just lost Deep's audio for a while, but interestingly, if you've looked at the sites, where would you rate Kagiso Rabada? Obviously, you've thought about the team. I just want to pick your brains on the fact that he's the Purple Cap winner, phenomenal bowling towards the first half of the IPL. Then he got hit, didn't end up taking as many wickets. But when you're looking at these bowlers, power pack bowling lineup again. But how does your just to pick on your brains, did Kagiso Rabada ever come into contention for you again?
No, not really. I was not thinking about Kagiso Rabada. There's a very simple reason. Because, I was looking for a bowler who can pick you wickets in the power play. That's where I believe a fast bowler makes a difference for you. That's where Jofra Archer is way ahead in terms of when you're picking a team. And when you look at Natarajan can do that job for you. He can come in the death and bowl those Yorkers, and he's been successful. I'll just go back to the Virat Kohli question. We all are fan of Virat Kohli and the way he bats. But if you see this season, Virat had when you talk about Virat Kohli standard, he had a very quiet season. So that's the reason he was not featuring in my 11. It goes the same with Kagiso Rabada, because I want Kagiso Rabada to get those wickets in the power play, not in the death. We have alternates, they can get you wickets. But power play is very important. That's when you can stop a team like MI. That's where you can put sudden breaks.
Deep, I don't know if you got to hear Pragyan's 11. It's like quite a power-packed rest of the world 11 taking on Mumbai Indians, a daunting 11 that he's lined up with. But before we come to your side to beat Mumbai Indians, do you think that, if you leave Mumbai Indians to play the T20 World Cup, this 11, can they go and do it? Are they better than T20 World Champions?
I was having this chat with a friend of mine. Like, listen, this is going to be a great match. Say England or West Indies, depending on conditions. Let's say playing in England. So England T20 versus MI side. I mean, that's going to be a mouth-watering encounter, and MI does not have anyone from England. So the whole team of MI is available. The whole team of England is available. That'll be a great game. Listen, the way MI is batting, I mean, MI is playing right now, it'll be one of the top sides in the world. Definitely, no disrespect to the other franchise cricket that's all around the world, but dominating IPL should mean something. So for me, I think yes, definitely the best best team in franchise cricket, but even international teams. I think it's good enough to take on the best teams in the world, best international teams in the world, whether it's England, Australia, whatever. Going back to my team, I think it's a difficult one. But I've gone with almost the same side as I mentioned before. So it's KL Rahul, Mayank Agarwal, Manish Pandey, AB de Villiers, Joss Butler, Jadeja, Rashid, Jofra Archer, Yuzi Chahal, Bumrah, Natarajan. And I know you asked the same question to Pragyan about Rabada. Yep. And I completely agree with what he said. I mean, if you have someone like Natarajan who can still do the same job, maybe not as same class as Rabada, but he can almost do the same job as Rabada does in the back end of the innings. Then you've got to look at your first six. You get someone like Jofra in the first six, and you'll have a wicket or two and put the opposition under pressure. So that'll be my playing level.
But Deep, there's this interesting facet about Mumbai Indians. When sporting teams keep doing well, we've spoken about West Indies. Growing up, when we would speak about the legend of the West Indies teams and the Australian teams in the '90s and the early noughties, and now Mumbai Indians in the IPL. Obviously, Barcelona, Manchester United. We talked
Yeah.
about there's a fancy there are fancy terms that you coin for Mumbai Indians teams like these. What is it that keeps on tickling them? If you draw parallels with Chennai Super Kings,
Yeah.
with all due respect to the great side, their players were mostly aging, and you could somehow sense that they were going to hit a nadir somewhere because their tactics were based around a few players. But with Mumbai Indians, you look at them; they're becoming more and more dangerous. Having won 5 titles, nobody can say that. Look, these guys are easily beatable. They're only getting more and more dangerous.
But Raj, you got to also think about this. I think the venues had a major role to play. Now look at CSK. They made that side thinking predominantly of 7 games at Chepauk, right? And maybe 2 other games, maybe Hyderabad or Delhi, where it'll be a 150, 160 game. So their team is based around that philosophy. Look at Mumbai Indians. Same thing. Their philosophy is based around 7 games at Wankhede. High scoring, pace, bounce. Now, unfortunately for CSK, it was difficult. Unfortunately for CSK, they, it was the conditions were nowhere near Chepauk. Only the fag end of the tournament where they actually won. But fortunately for Mumbai Indians, the team that they had made for 7 matches ended up being a team for all 14, 17 matches because the surfaces helped their kind of a team. So let's not also forget that the venue, the conditions also help, MI's team setup. I mean, had these pitches turned a bit, then maybe, I mean, you only have Krunal and Rahul Char as your spinning option. Maybe you might be thinking about playing 3 seamers. Then you might be thinking at Pollard as your third seamer or someone else. But having said that, MI is obviously a gun side, and also I think the major thing, the secret behind both CSK and MI, is the fact that they've been very, very consistent for the last 6, 7, 8 years. Yes, CSK, for me, it's in a transition phase, but MI, another few years, if they really don't have to change the whole side or major part of the side because of option rules, I think they'll dominate. They'll keep dominating.
And Pragya, to add to Deep's point, it's important to also look at the fact that despite the retentions, which these retention rule has been there for a few years, they've had a couple of mega auctions. Mumbai Indians know their calculations are such, you know the inside workings of it. The calculations are such that they exactly know what to do and what their core is. Do you think that is a major differentiating factor? The fact is that these guys know who our core is, and they keep going back, and all their efforts are rounded around not specific players, probably. Maybe not just around a couple of players like other teams, but their core. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree. That's where CSK was a little bit let down because, the core team was disturbed. I'm not worried about the others. If you see the core team, Bravo was injured. Tahir did not get to play. And Raidu got injured. And the biggest factor was Suresh Raina. He was not there. The man who used to get consistently 400-500 runs for them and used to come and get those crucial runs for them. So when your core is disturbed, then that's when, you cannot have a backup plan. So every team, if you see, they have their core very strong. And when you listen to MSD, what he said clearly, he said that this team was built for 3 years. So they knew exactly that this is not a team which is going to take us to 2 or 3 championships. This is the team which is going to help us win maybe 1 or 2. That's what their plan was. It was a short-term plan. And as Deepbhai rightly said, it was about Chepauk, those 7 games. Every time we discuss in our team meetings, we were told you have to win all your 7 games that you're playing at home. Even isn't it, Deepbhai, when you're playing Ranji Trophy, we talk about home advantages we should take. So all our team that we built is around that conditions that you see in your home venue. And it so happened that, in Dubai, even later half, it wasn't doing that much what it does in Chepauk or Delhi. It was turning a bit, but it wasn't doing so much that we have seen in Chepauk, Delhi, and few other venues. So maybe that thing did not go with CSK. This wasn't the year of Chennai Super Kings. But MI, I think the team that they had, maybe with one or two players, but I think any wicket, they would have been a very good side because the balance was superb. They had depth in their batting, they had good bowling, you know. I don't think it would have made a lot of difference to MI, but for CSK, it did make a lot of difference because they lost their core team and their players were aging. They were not meant to be there for, their plan was very simple. We're looking for short term from one auction to the other. That's what their plan was.
Interesting points from both our experts. So if you're a Chennai Super Kings fan, you just heard both Deep Dasgupta and Pragyan Oja point out the fact that it was a little about conditions as well, and truly so, because whenever you look at CSK, they've built their side around the Chipok, and MS Dhoni. It's no secret that he loves operating with the spinners. Pragyan
Ash, can
himself.
I just quickly add to that? I mean, for CSK fans, this is what I'd say. I think there's no reason to be disheartened because last 3-4 games, I think they've got their core going again. They have identified a few players. Listen, if there is an auction, there is a Mitch Stark available. Even if there is a small auction, a smaller auction, not the grand one, there is a Mitchell Stark available. Get him. Get a couple of Indian talent, and I'm sure there are enough good Indian talent going around. And it's there. I mean, the bowling unit is almost there. It's just a middle order batsman here and there, and a good gun, fast bowler in someone like Mitchell Stark coming in, a match winner. And this CSK side will look a different side then.
Right, absolutely, Pragyan. Definitely not are the only two buzzwords that the CSK fans will be looking forward to. Dhoni is coming back.
Yeah,
If you're a
I think
CSK
that those two words. So he said definitely not, and that was like all over social media. That's the kind of respect he commands, and why not?
Absolutely.
And I think maybe when you talk about MS Dhoni as a cricketer, not as a man who's done so much for the country and the way he's won games or he's got those laurels for the country. If you talk about the cricketer MS Dhoni, it's very difficult. Humanly, it is very difficult when you're coming after a long gap and playing a tournament of this magnitude. So I think he's a very smart cricketer. He exactly knows what he has to do. I think maybe we'll see him playing few games because that is very important. I had seen the same thing with Adam Gilchrist. First year and 2008 and 2009 he was superb, but the next year after his retirement, slowly we could see, he was not playing those shots that he was known for. That is only because of the match practice. Anybody, let it be anybody, you need to have that match practice because when you're playing these kind of tournaments, you have to be at your peak. There is no excuse. That's how harsh it is.
That's interesting points again. But okay, now the Indian Premier League is over. We're still going to linger on with the hangover. Deep and Pragyan have given you plenty of talking points to ponder over. But gentlemen, there is another very exciting T20 league about to start in a few weeks from now, on the December 10th. And like the IPL, the Big Bash League this year has already started making headlines. When we were talking about the IPL, we were wondering whether the tournament will happen, where and how many days will this span. But the Big Bash League this year has generated a few talking points already, and some players, including the great Shane Watson, has kind of hit out at some of the new rules that have come out. Now, just for the benefit of our viewers, the rules are Power Search, the X Factor player, and the Bash Boost. These rules sound very complicated, but if you look at the rules, they are more or less like some of these rules have already been implemented in cricket before. Some very interesting points from both our experts, Pragyan Oja and Deep Dasgupta, on the Indian Premier League. But this hangover, it's a strong hangover. And like Deep Dasgupta said, it's a hangover that he does not find. Pragyan Oja, Deep Dasgupta, thank you so much for joining us on this edition. It was lovely talking to both of you, gentlemen, on a very emotional IPL this season. And we will definitely get back to you with more on Cricket Talk with cricketers, our experts, Pragyan Oja and Deep Dasgupta. Thank you so much for joining us.